Alright guys, we have a 2004 4L60E. This is out of a Chevy Avalanche. And the main reason why we got this Transit is because it had a code P0894, which is transmission component slipping. Basically the same thing as a P1870. And the reason why we're actually doing this is because the car has to be inspected. And what they kept trying to do is clear the code. Once you clear the code, the monitors aren't ready. You got to drive the car maybe 100 miles to get the monitors ready so it would pass inspection. And the light kept coming back on. We drove this with the scanner on it. We did confirm converter slip. And we got the okay to pull this thing. And we're going to open it up. Don't know really what we're going to find. I mean, I'm thinking maybe worn bushing, something like that. But the problem was converter slip. So the problem may even be in the converter itself. But we did get the okay to tear it down. We're going to do an overhaul. And I'm just going to get the camera a little closer. And we're going to tear this thing down. Alright, so the first thing we're going to start with is our MLP switch. We'll just spin this thing around again. Here's our case connector. Here's our servo for the band. Second and fourth. Alright, so we're going to start with the MLP. Now I can't stress it enough to make sure these, once you take the lever off, from here, there's always a lip. And you can't really pry this switch out. So you got to take a file, or you got to take the cookie, the brown cookie on the wheel, and you know, clean all this around here, whatever you got to do, but you got to get the lip off. Because when you take this switch off, the switch should come off just like that. If it comes off any other way, you have the chance of ruining the inside of the switch. Will get out of round, and then when you put the thing back in, it may not select drive correctly, may not show neutral correctly. So very, very important to make sure that this is nice and smooth. You know, the lip is gone all around when you slide that out. All right, let's get the bell housing off. This is that, these bolts in this bell housing are the 50 Torx Plus. What I do before I take the bolts out is I have a C6 input shaft and a heavy hammer, and I kind of just whack each one of them to loosen up the threads, and they come out pretty easy. Okay, get rid of the bell. And let's get the pump bolts out. Then I'm going to flip this over. Okay, first we're going to take the ring for the torque converter. Okay, now let's get the pump bolts out. Alright, now we're going to flip this up. Actually, you know what we're going to do? We're going to take the servo out first. I'm going to get in here with the screwdriver. See if I can pop the clip. Loosen this. Alright, now I got to get a pair of pliers. Let's see. Okay. Get this cap out a little more. Okay. Now what I do is I reach in here with my scribe and try to get the O-ring, the blue O-ring, here. Pull it and stretch it to thin it out. Slide that out. Fluid looks pretty clean. I believe they did a service to try to fix this problem. Okay, here's the rest of the servo, band, spring, and snap ring. Put this aside. Okay, now let's start. I don't remember exactly what the converter slip was, because actually checked this thing out a couple of weeks ago. But I guess they tried a couple of times clearing the code, seeing if they can get it to pass, and they couldn't do it. All right, here's the pan. Pan's fairly clean. As I said, this is here for a converter slip, so not even really sure what we're going to see. Now, let me just point out one thing. They did do a service to try to fix this problem. Okay, you see the pan is the lake style pan because it has the you know, the indent here. So when they did the service, they put the wrong filter in. This is the early style filter. So if you're going to do your own service, what I would do is match the filters up side by side and make sure that it's correct. It may be mainly the same height, it may look different, but the later ones may look like this with a gate around it, or it might just be a thick black plastic filter. So when they did the service, they took the right filter out and put the wrong filter in. Okay, we'll get this clicker. Let me move this a little closer. Okay, so the solenoids, you got your two shift solenoids here, your manifold switch here, your EPC later style here, 03 and up I believe is later, your 3-2 downshift, and your PWM, and the one in the pump is the lockup solenoid. Alright, so let's try to disconnect these without breaking the tabs. That's always a good thing. Okay. Alright, let's try this here. Okay. EPC. Ready? Lock up. Not lock up, well, let's lock up the PWM. Okay. Now what I like to do is remove this solenoid. You get the lockup solenoid out. So I take the clip out, slide the solenoid out. I like to change these solenoids on every overhaul. Another reason, possibly for the 894, is the solenoid bodies. I think around the screen area, maybe just above the screen, but it's very, very hard to see. It cracks, and it'll cause that code as well. So my recommendation when you do these overhauls, especially if it has the code 1870, 894, change that solenoid. Okay, the two 10mm bolts. We'll get this up. This goes into the pump, and we'll move this aside. Okay, now we're going to take the, let's take the 1-2 accumulator housing off first. Okay, inside here should be 2 springs and the plastic piston. Okay, here's the piston and the 2 springs. Alright, so the spring's going first. The piston, these things tend to crack, so they do sell the aluminum ones. So of course, you know, my recommendation is to change it over to the aluminum style. Okay, now we're going to get the valve body bolts out. Okay, now we have 3 8mm, which actually are longer, and these, gotta make sure these get put back in the right spot. Let me just show you the difference here. Okay, you see the bolt is longer, and these bolts have to go back into the right spot. Here, here, and here. If you would put this bolt, say here for instance, the case is open on the other side, so the bolt is probably going to go all the way through. And if you put these in the wrong spot, like here, this is going to jam the shell and keep it from turning. So you might have issues with second and fourth, a bind up, might have issues with reverse. So you got to make sure you put these back in the correct spots. Okay, now we got all those out. Now we're going to take the manifold bolts out. Give me 1 sec. Okay. Manifold bolts. The 2 8s. Okay, then you just give this thing a little twist, like that, and that comes out. This looks pretty good. I don't think there's going to be an issue with this. And then the valve body we're going to lift right off. Put this aside for now. All right, here is the link from the linkage to the manual valve. Some of the check bolts fell out. So we'll just get rid of those. Okay. Now we're going to take the tension plate off and take the separator plate. Three bolts on that. Here's the tension plate and the separator plate. All right, here is your EPC screen, your solenoid screen. And one thing you got to check, especially in this area right here, the ball normally beats the heck out of the plate. I usually always change this and put a transgo plate in. You can probably also put maybe the fix in, Tech Pack makes the ball seat fix, but I just like to use the whole plate. All right, here's your 3/4 accumulator piston. You want to check this. This feels pretty good. Make sure the pin is not wobbling back and forth. That feels pretty good. to take the pump out. Let me get my big screwdriver. Okay. Something. I'm going to see if the camera can pick this up, but the stator bushing is all worn out. More than likely, that's your problem for the 894 code. I mean, this one side, there's oil grooves in here. I'm going to see if I can hold this up close to the camera when I take this apart. There's oil grooves in here, and over here, this one side, there's absolutely no groove at all. That's how worn this thing is. So chances are that's your 894. All right, here's a plastic washer for the pump. Now let's get the drums out. All right, want to release it from the anchor pin, the band anchor pin. Let me just see if I can see that down there. Okay. All right, we're going to pull the drums out. Here's the band. Band's a little black. I'm going to change that. This is the anchor for the band. All right, first let's chunk this down. Okay, now there is a snap ring. And of course I have to get my pliers. Okay, so there's a snap ring. Let me see if I can kind of get this without getting in the way. Let me get down here. It's not going to work. Okay, here's my bent snap ring pliers. This is the snap ring, holds the holds the planets in, the output shaft in. I'm going to slide this out. This is your front planet set. Bushings are, very important. So check them all and change what has to be changed. This is the shell. Got a 4-tab plastic washer that goes on the center support. And we'll see how that is. Okay, this is the rear sun gear. Looks in good shape. Okay, that doesn't look too bad. Okay, now we're going to get another snap ring out. This holds the center support in. Okay. This snap ring is pretty much the same on both sides. All right, now let's see if we can get the back of this out. Okay, not lucky on that one. Here is your center support with the input spread. Here is your rear planet. We're going to check these gears, make sure they're not rocking. Okay, low reverse frictions. Don't look too bad. 4x4 output shaft, and here is your ring gear, rear ring gear. and the park rides right here. The park goes in between these lugs. This all stuff looks in pretty good shape. And here is the anti-rattle clip for the center support. Alright, let me just get rid of some of these check balls here. Get rid of some of the soil. And then I'm going to probably reset it up to get the reverse piston out. But before we do that, I'm going to take this out right here. Otherwise the piston won't come out. Alright, this harness is in good shape, but we don't want to ruin anything. So I like to get the harness out. Now the way I normally do this, you know, you can use a socket. There might even be a tool available, but what I normally do is I keep some pressure on it and I push the tabs in. Because, you know, with the socket, you really can't see what's going on. I really don't want to break the tabs. Just keep some pressure on it, and it pushes right down. And all the tabs are intact. Okay, so let me just get reset up here. I want to get rid of this oil. I'm going to put this on a stand so I can point the camera down in as I'm setting up to get the reverse servo out. Reverse piston out, I mean. Alright, so I got my tool in there, and I'm gonna, the snap ring opening is right here on this side, so I gotta just tighten this tool down and keep it kind of straight. I gotta stick both hands in there for a sec, okay? Oh, this thing came out a little, came out of the spot. Let's move it back in so everything is even. Okay. So now we'll tighten this down. And let's hope this thing will pop right out. Snap ring's a little tough to get out. Wow, that popped right out. I got lucky on that one. Okay, so here's the snap ring. You don't want to kind of confuse this with the reverse input. The reverse input snap ring's a little thicker. Okay, we'll take this out. This is the tool here. Take the springs out. And then I'm going to blow this piston out. And here's the piston. Okay, so that is completely torn down. Now let me get ready. We'll open up the drums and a pump. So I'll be right back. Okay, so first we'll do the reverse input drum. This is also going to get a set of bushings. This has one bushing on each side, so we'll get a set of bushings. Okay, these clutches look in very good shape. You can still see the rating on them. And here is the wave, which goes in the drum down like this. The dish faces down. Okay, here is the input drum. Now just a quick word of advice. If you ever get one of these in. This is an '04, and this has the later style drum because it has no shiny tip. It ends in spline, so this would take like a TMBX converter. If you get one of these in and these direct 3/4 clutches are burnt out, I would change the drum because either the drum cracks or this shaft becomes loose and it gets mispositioned. And I get these new, because I went through the first one, the thing kept coming back and then, until I finally figured out what was going on. But these drums new, I get AC Delco new from my supplier. They're not even $100. So if you ever get them in and these top clutch pack is wiped out, I would change the drum. Okay, now here's the 3/4 frictions. Let me get rid of these. These are load release springs. I like to put these back. And what these do, the reason why they have these in there is in case the driver kind of gets on the car and it's revving very high, centrifugal force can actually apply this clutch. And I think it was burning out prematurely, that's why they put these in. But normal driving, it wouldn't happen. If the guy gets on the car, centrifugal force is going to apply to its clutches, so that's why they have these load release springs, to keep that from happening. These clutches aren't really burnt, but if you can see close up of the teeth are worn pretty good. So these are going to get changed. Okay, next we're going to take out the forward clutch. Okay, here's the forward clutch as a standard procedure. For me, they always get changed because this is a high wear area with the teeth and stuff. So that's going to be changed. Here is a bearing and a rubber bushing. And these are the overrun. These look pretty good. All right, and within this drum we have the 3 molded pistons, a couple of sets of springs, and you have your 4 rings on the outside. And also, where the bushings ride, you want to inspect this area here and the area down in here. This is where the 2 bushings ride. Okay, forward planet or input planet has the bearing style. There is a bushing in here that is going to be changed. Another roller bearing. There's a bearing on the inside of here that I just kind of grab it and move it a little bit, make sure it's good. Make sure these gears are not pitted and they are not rocking back and forth. Okay, here is the input sprag. Okay, this here has this sprag I'm going to update. This is the single cage. This will be updated to the dual cage. I like to do that as a standard rebuild procedure. They did it for the dual cage for much more durability, so I like to change that. All right, this is your center support. Your low reverse sprag is here. I like to change those, and you want to make sure that this is nice and smooth all around, and no steps or no anything. Nice and smooth, which this is. And I changed the sprag as part of the rebuild. All right, here's the pump gasket. Now let's see if we can open up this pump. just zip them out. Gotta charge that battery. Let me just zip them out here. Okay, here is the stator. Houses the pressure regulator valve, lockup valve. It has a screen right in here. That screen has an O-ring around it. You don't want to forget to put that back. You don't have any line pressure. And I always like to check, when the bushings are worn, the shafts won't be riding true. So you want to check inside, make sure there's no ring grooves. This is good. I don't know if you're really going to be able to see this, but I like to show you because the bushing is all worn out on one side. Let me see if I can get up close here. Where's my light? Okay, now I don't know if you can see, the groove is here, for instance, right there. And then I'm spinning it. And now, this one, where I am now, the groove is you can see the mark there, but the groove is totally gone. Compared to this one, which has a decent size, and this one is totally gone right here. And then again, we go back with the groove. So I'm thinking this is probably the problem for the 894 code. And I don't really particularly care for those bafflet bushings. I like to put the brass ones back. All right, here's, this is the pump body in here. Here's the guide for the vanes. There's two of those. Or the centering ring. Okay, the vanes you want to look at. Make sure they're not worn down. On this side, they look pretty good. Here is your rotor guide and your rotor, and another centering ring for the bottom. All right, here's your pump slide. You want to make sure this is smooth all around. Here you have the spring that moves the slide into the different positions. You got your slide seals and you got your pivot. I actually like to check all this. So I pop these springs out. It has an inner and outer. And then this whole thing will come up. All right, here's your slide seals. And on the bottom, here's your seals. And here's your pivot with a little spring. Okay, now on this side, this is your seal retainer. This will just pop right off. And this particular pump uses the O-ring. The later ones, you know, they eliminated the O-ring and they have the seal that goes in the case. And your pump bushing, which is going to be changed. All right, now let's just do a quick thing on the valve body. Alright, manual valve. Moving over the solenoids, but I'm just going to open this up. This is the neutral drive accumulator. More than likely that's going to be plastic, and I like to update that to aluminum. Cover with the 3 bolts. Okay, this is plastic. Again, I like to update that to aluminum. And here's another valve and spring. I don't want to lose this, so I'll pull this thing out. And I guess that's about it for this unit, guys. So again, P0894 which is transmission component slipping. Normally, it would have to do with the converter. They needed the car inspected. The light kept coming on. They would clear the codes, but the light would come back before the monitors were ready, so they brought it in for us to do the trans. We checked this car a couple of weeks ago, and what I think is going on with this, as you saw, the stator bushing is all the way worn down on one side, which definitely can cause loss of the converter oil. And that's about it, guys. So I'm going to get this thing cleaned up. We're going to do it up, order some parts for it. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them. Any questions, people are starting to ask a lot more questions now, so I'll certainly answer them, and I usually get to every one of them. I make it a point because I appreciate you watching the videos and subscribing, giving me thumbs up. And that's about it. So have a great day, and we'll see you next time.